Hello and welcome to a slightly different stream for the Club 100 GT Sport Championship. The races did happen last night, but I have not seen any of the results. I was unable to stream live last night due to illness, so I'm just going to work off the replays, which are being very kindly shared by Jack Cameron Drayton, and hopefully we will be in for a great event. So to start with, I'll just go through the championship order of before the races happen. I will be commentating on these as live, I think the way to put it is. I'll just find the championship tables somewhere in here. Just give me a quick second, just swap over. Go. So going into this round, reigning champion Ryan Sandell led the championship by 4 points, 109 points to 105. To second place Nathan Maximin, who was his rival all through last season, was close until the final round, and then Ryan dominated the final round to take the championship last year. A further 14 points back, still in mathematical chance of a championship, but probably out of it by now, unless something dramatic happens to Ryan and Nathan, which we haven't seen previously, but it could happen. It was Steve Brown, Super GT himself, first time in the championship this year, and done a great job to run in third in the championship so far. Martin Robinson is sitting fourth on 74 points, 35 points off the championship lead, but he has Tim Clark breathing down his neck on 70 points. A further 4 points back in sixth is Trevor Randall, with Callum Brule another 6 points back in seventh. 2 points further back from Brule on 58 is Kirv Kalirai, and Jack Cameron Drayton is 3 points further back in ninth with 55. So really close battle there for about sixth in the championship. On 49 points was Mark Ridout, his first year in the championship, 2 points ahead of Sam Dimlo, the Club 100 tester and championship organiser. Eric Mignon sits on 42, 1 point ahead of newcomer Alex Wilmot, and Peter Harris is on 34 in 14th in the championship, while the rear is brought up by Jay Elliott on 19, but Jay only did one round and joined me for commentary of the next two. So that's how the Drivers' Championship sat. The Teams' Championship was led by Team SR Down, which is Nathan Maximin and Jack Cameron Drayton. They sat with an 8-point lead over BB Racing, which is Ryan Sandell and Eric Mignon, whilst 12 points back off the lead was Frey Bentos Racing of Kirv Kalirai and Tim Clark. Team Quadrant was 17 points back off the lead with Steve Brown and Sam Dimlo. Last and Furious were fifth, only 25 points off the lead and still in contention mathematically, were Callum Brule and Martin Robinson. Old Gits Racing were in 6th, 59 points back, with the South Coasters 69 points back in 7th, but they've had Alex come into the team, newcomer Mark new to the championship, so expected them not to be as high up as some of the regulars. In the fastest lap chart as well, which is quite interesting, Ryan Sandell stopped Nathan Maximin having a monopoly of fastest laps by taking the fastest lap last time out. So there's 5 fastest laps to Nathan and 1 to Ryan Sandell, and these two have been dominating the championship all year. And as you can see on the grid, which I will run through, the two drivers, Ryan and Nathan, are on the front row after qualifying. Now, we know from previous streams Nathan had a 100% success rate with pole positions but it was Ryan Sandell who took pole position at Brands Hatch to ruin Nathan's pole position streak, as we'll call it. But Nathan still made the front row in second. Third place was Trevor Randall with Martin Robinson fourth on the grid. Fifth place is Mark Ridout. Sixth is Steve Brown. Seventh is Callum Brewell. Eighth, Tim Clark, who might have been hoping for a little bit better. Jack Cameron ninth. Kieran Calirai in 10th. Eric Mignon in 11th. Sam Dimlow in 12th. And Peter Harris bringing up the rear with 13th. Alex Wilmot was unable to make this event, and we couldn't find a replacement for him in time. So, as I said, I'm going to report on this as live, so feel free to comment in the chat as we go along, and there'll be this race and the half an hour feature race at Monza during this stream. So sit back and enjoy the action as we have the championship finale of season 2 of the Club 100 GT Sport Championship, starting here at Brands Hatch on the GP circuit. So the Aston Martins are all on the grid now. We're just waiting for them to leave the grid as the lights are on, the revs are rising, and the fans are waiting for a great spectacle here. 13 Aston Martins and they're away. Great start by front row crew. Everybody's got away cleanly, but it's Ryan Sandell who leads down into Paddock Bend for the first time, with title rival Maximin close behind. Looks like everybody's getting through. Maximin defending from Trevor Randall. Martin Robinson up into 4th. Steve Brown up into 5th, trying to go around the outside of Mark Ridout. That hasn't worked. But it's Sandell who leads as they go onto the back straight for the first time. All running wide at the bottom of Graham Hill Bend. But it's Sandell who leads onto the GP loop for the first time. They power out onto the straight. It's Sandell from Maximin, Treviso, which is Trevor Randall, and it's Martin Robinson having to defend from Mark Ridout right now, taking the tight line down the hill. Steve Brown running around behind them. It's the closest battle on circuit as the top three are slightly pulling away. Back in 8th, Tim Clark and Kev Calirai are having to defend, but somebody's ran wide there. I think that was Martin Robinson. Yes, it was Martin Robinson, and he's dropped down to 8th place behind Tim Clark now. Very easy to run wide on some of these corners here at Brands Hatch, as he does it again there actually. But that is Steve Brown now going to the inside of Mark Ridout into clearways and into 4th place. That's important for his championship, because the top three have pulled away, as it's Callum Brewell who leads, trying to extend his championship lead early on here, with Nathan Maximin in 2nd. Trevor Randall holding on in 3rd. Trevor not had the season he probably wanted, considering he was up in 3rd in last year's championship, but showing some strong form here early at Brands Hatch. Steve Brown is having to fight off the attentions of Mark Ridout as Callum Brewell starts to form a queue behind. And there goes Martin Robinson up the inside of Tim Clark. Clean move. Tim Clark still on the outside though, and gets the acceleration out of the corner onto the back straight. But this battle, you can see the two teams having to fight hard here. This is two teams that have a chance of the team's championship. But oh, that's wide by Martin Robinson, but again just holds on to it, doesn't lose any positions. But Martin certainly a little ragged in these opening laps, trying to hold on to his 4th place in the championship. Oh, and we've got an off there. That, I think, who is that? It's Jack Cameron Drayton. That is major for the team's championship. Team SR Down are now 2nd and last in this race. Jack Cameron Drayton throwing away big points for the team there. But we head back to the front, and Maximin has closed the gap to Ryan Sandell, and this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the two title rivals out in front fighting hard. Maximin, to be honest, probably wanted more attention for Brewell. He needs drivers in between himself and Brewell. He needs to close that gap going into the final round at Monza later tonight. Callum Brewell still in 6th place, losing ground to the top 5 at the moment. But here comes Maximin. He's got in the slipstream. He is now heading up. Oh no, it's Sandell who defends into there. And defensive line again by Sandell. And he's still defending as Nathan tries this way and that to get round his championship rival. As they head back round off the GP loop again into Clark Curve for the third time, sorry. And Trevor Randall just inching up on the back of Maximin, just that little bit. But it is the two championship rivals who we're concentrating on right now. You can see that Tim Clark and Martin Robinson are still swapping positions further back, and they're still side by side by the looks of things, heading up into Druids. But Robinson has the inside line and he takes the position. Now, oh, and Clark's fighting back on the exit, but he won't go around the outside of Graham Hill Bend. He'll get forced out wide if he does that. But Robinson runs wide again. Further behind you can see Eric Mignon and Peter Harris still in touch with this pack. Sideways by Robinson. Looking very ragged here tonight. He's normally quite calm and we don't see so many mistakes. That's how he's sitting 4th in the championship right now. But he now has his teammate Callum Brewell just ahead of him. Now, will any team orders come into effect here to help the championship challenge, or will the pace of Brewell be too strong for Robinson tonight? We look further ahead, and there is Steve Brown, Super GT, as Ridout runs wide. Has that blown his chances of getting past Steve Brown early on? These two were slowly closing up on the top 3. But that mistake by Ridout has not helped the two of them, because 2 cars always travel better than 1 through the air. But there is Maximin still challenging, but Sandell is fighting off those attentions into Paddock Hill Bend. It is truly great racing side by side at the moment, and Trevor Randall is there. He is in this fight, he has the slipstream. Now if these 3 start fighting, Steve Brown is back in this championship, just close behind. But at the moment, I think this will place him out of it going into the final round. But Maximin, all over, the pressure is on Sandell here. To be honest, he doesn't need to win this race. He could let Maximin go and finish 2nd. But it just applies a little more pressure for Monza as he goes defensive again on Maximin, and he's holding him up and backing him into Trevor Randall, who's now there. Randall is there and all over back. We'll go on board with Randall now on the bumper cam, and this is how close the racing is right now. There's probably less than a second covering the top 4 because Steve Brown is coming behind very quickly. We're going on to lap 6. Sandell again defends. So apologies that we're concentrating on this, but this is the championship battle. Now they're side by side across the line, but Maximin is on the outside. There's no way he's going to go around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, but he's going to give it a go. Looks for the cut back up to Druids. Will he be able to get it? No, Sandell continues to take that touring car-esque line of staying on the inside, and Randall's gone up the inside and he's got Maximin. That was sneaky by Randall and absolutely opportunistic, and he's up into 2nd place. Now that's made the job so much harder for Maximin, because he also has Steve Brown coming right behind onto the back of his pack, and he now has the slipstream. So the top 4, you could put a blanket over him right now, but Randall is now challenging for the lead. Sandell defensive again, very defensive into this line. He's getting used to this now. It's almost his own racing line. But here is Steve Brown, and he is looking for third place in this race. All over the back of Nathan Maximin. He's lost a little bit there through what used to be the Fogarty S's, and heading back around towards the start line. And if you look in the mirror, you can see here we are on board with Mark Ridout, and that mistake earlier on has not cost him too much. He's getting back onto this pack, and he will be part of this lead battle anytime soon. But just while that's happening, we look further back. There is Callum Brule leading the next pack, with Martin Robinson, his teammate, close behind. Tim Clark and Keith Calirai as part of that. Oh, Tim Clark running very wide there into the gravel. Will Calirai get him? Yes, he will. So that does not help Tim Clark in his battle for 10th from the championship. There is Eric Mignon and Peter Harris going through Druids at the moment, having their own little battle. And there is Jack Cameron Drayton, and something's happened to Sam Dimolo at some point to drop him back into 13th. But we head back to the leaders because that's where the battle is. And Trevor Randall is side by side. Maximin is going to the outside again. I don't think he's going to make it through there. It's very difficult. But Steve Brown has gone to the inside of Maximin, and Steve Brown is up into third place. If he can make this stick, Maximin trying to hold off around the outside. But that is just not possible, and Steve Brown is up into third, and Mark Ridout now starting to look at fourth place. This is all going wrong for Maximin and all going right for Sandell right now in terms of the championship. There's two cars in between the two rivals, and this may even bring Steve Brown into play for second in the championship. Mark Ridout could make Maximin stay even longer at this rate if he gets through. He's hanging on to the back here, but we know with Mark it's always a strong fight throughout, always strong pace. He's just got to cut out the mistakes. He got a great podium, I think it was in round 4. He got second place because he had the pace throughout the race and didn't make any mistakes. Now we've already seen one from him, but he didn't cost him anything. He's still in the fight. So there is the top 5 all in your picture. Sandell, Randall, Brown, Maximin and Ridout. Looking further back, and Callum Brule has disappeared. Callum has dropped down to 9th behind the 2 Frey Bentos cars. There's Mignon and Peter Harris playing catch up, but still scoring strong points for a championship, especially Mignon. He is in the championship hunt with teammate Ryan Sandell for the team championship, but that could be crucial how then 2 Frey Bentos cars have got past Callum Brule. That could be crucial for the team championship. But back to the front, there is Sandell with a nice little lead. You can see his times very consistent in the right hand side of the corner, but he has got possibly a second and a half gap back to Trevor Randall, and they're all nicely spaced out now actually, all with a little bit of slipstream each. Ridout just holding on off the back there, but there, if you look in the background, Martin Robinson isn't too far off this group as well. Didn't come into shot that time, but if we head back while no fighting's happening, there is Robinson. He's left Tim Clark and Keith Calirai behind, and looking to try and hook onto this gap, hook onto the back of this lead pack. Now Robinson doesn't always have the outright pace, running wide outside of Graham Hill there, but he certainly is consistent, and that consistency is bringing him into play, especially if these top few start fighting. But back to the front, Sandell is leading the way and looking very controlled at the moment. His best lap of a 28.5, that was done on lap 2, but the consistency is there. 28.5 as well for Trevor Randall last time out, so he closed the gap slightly. 28.4 for Steve Brown, and a 28.1 is the best by Nathan Maximin. So Maximin has the pace tonight. He just needs to get out of his traffic and chase down Sandell. But as they always say in racing, catching is one thing, passing is quite another. As we head round to lap 10 of this Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, and we must be over halfway through the race. Sadly, we do have a timer, yes, 13.5 minutes gone in this race, leaving us with 6.5 minutes to go, and maximum 6.5 minutes to save his championship challenge. He looks to be outside of Steve Brown for third place. Oh, and Maximin's off. Maximin's hit the wall. Out of Druids, he's caught the grass, and that could be his championship gone. That could be the end of it. Maximin has made a huge mistake there. Sadly, I can't bring you up the replays like the live stream normally can, but that is a huge mistake by Maximin, dropping him down from 4th to 9th, behind Callum Brewell. Now the fight is on. Maximin has the pace, but can he get back through this pack to save his championship challenge? With Sandell leading, Maximin has to get past Brewell and Callie Wright, Tim Clark, and get back to that top 5 as quickly as he can. As you can see, Eric Mignon and Peter Harris just close behind, still fighting over that final top 10 position. But this is also crucial for the team's championship, because Maximin has dropped back, and teammate, there is Sam Dimolo in the pits, but there is Jack Cameron Drayton down. So the two SR down cars are 9th and 12th against 1st and 10th. This is a huge swing in the way of BB Racing in the team's championship. But more importantly for Sandell, he is currently still leading this race and pulling his championship challenge clear. Yes, Ryan saying I can skip replay back if I want. I could do, but you just want to rub it in that Nathan's gone off. But it's Sandell who still leads from Trevor Randall. We will we are going to do that. Let's just go back a bit and see if we can find Nathan's off there. Here we go. We should get... Here we are. Nathan's back in 4th place. We're going to go on board with Nathan. He is here behind Steve Brown. I won't spin back too often in these races, but here we are on board with Nathan Maximin. And he goes to the outside of Brown. Looks to cut back slightly. Doesn't quite do it. Gets on the grass and just spins out. It's quite a rare mistake there by Maximin, but it is enough possibly to give Sandell the championship. But we'll skip back forward now, back to where we were, and we're going out onto lap 11. We'll go just so we know where we are. And it starts at lap 11. Sandell leads from Trevor Randall, Steve Brown and Mark Ridout. Yeah, it did come across a bit bad, Ryan, but fair point. We've now seen the replay, so we now know exactly what happened as Sandell runs wide and almost touches the grass himself there. Now, the grass can be quite slippery if you hit it at the wrong time. Like on the bottom of Graham Hill, you can get away with it to a point, but there's just so much grasscrete down there. You can get a little bit of purchase and get through that corner quite well on the outside on the grass. But Sandell leads from Trevor Randall, who is now under pressure from Steve Brown. Super GT himself is all over the back of Trevor Randall, just waiting to see whether he tries to make a move towards the end of this lap. Mark Ridout is still there in 4th place. But there goes Trevor Randall, still looking for his best result of the season so far with second place here. I think it possibly could be his first podium of the season, which is something I didn't expect to be saying at this stage of the season. Mark Ridout still close behind in fourth. Getting a lot of messages coming up in the corner, but I'm not seeing them on the live chat. Not sure why that is, but yeah, nothing coming up there. If you have got any questions about the championship, feel free to post them on here, and we will try and mention or answer them. And if you want to just say hello, feel free. But here we are. Here is Steve Brown still challenging for that second place. He needs it to try and get second place in the championship here, especially with Maximin down in 8th place, and he's now making the move on Kiev Kalirai on his comeback. He's already got past Callum Brule. Kiev Kalirai actually made a bit of a mistake there, which is letting Callum Brule look around the outside of the old Fogarty S's, and you'd never make it through there. He'd end up back in another county if he went off at that part of the circuit. Brule runs wide, and Kalirai lives to fight another day. But Maximin back up into 7th in the race. He's really got to fight a lot quicker, try and push forward. You can see that lap time on the right hand side, but 1:39.8. That's what cost him a chance of a top 5 here tonight in this race, and he's now got to chase down Tim Clark, who you just saw go through the screen. That's a lot to try and catch up in less than 2 minutes. But we head back to the front. There is Sandell, and Steve Brown is still challenging Randall. We're now on board with Brown. He's all over Rusty's car, the Lightning McQueen styled car, and it's certainly been lightning tonight because, oh, and Randall left the door open. Brown's gone to the inside. There's been contact. Brown backs off to let Randall take the position back, and that was fair play by both drivers there. But Randall did almost leave the door open there, and it was worth Brown having a go. But has that brought Mark Ridout into play? Yes, it has. Ridout is now right behind this battle and looking to make his way through, hopefully to his best sprint race result of the season. But this is all allowing Sandell to pull away at the front, and is not what Maximin needs. We go back on board with Maximin. There he is trying to hunt down Tim Clark. The cars are on to the final lap now, because there's only 25 seconds of the race to go. Will Maximin be able to close that gap? We will look back to that later. But it's Sandell who continues to lead this race. But the battle for second place is raging on as we go out onto the GP loop for the final time. Randall defending hard round this final lap. Sandell is gone unless he makes a mistake, but I can't see it. The only mistake we've seen today is by Maximin, which brings you back to Tokyo when he had a 10-second lead in the wet and it spun it out and lost the lead. Really, Maximin has, those two mistakes, the one here today and the one in Tokyo, has blown his championship challenges. Flash of the lights by Ridout, but I think that was more because he got out onto the grass and probably knocked the wrong button. But will they have a go down into Clark Corner for the final time? Doesn't look like it, and it's going to be victory for Ryan Sandell, the reigning champion. Extends his lead at the top of the championship as Randall takes his season best second, Steve Brown in third, Mark Ridout a great result in fourth for Mark, fifth for Martin Robinson, sixth for Tim Clark, and seventh for Nathan Maximin, and that is crucial for the championship. Eighth for Callum Brule, ninth for Kiev Kalirai. Peter Harris gets the better of Mignon for 10th. Eric Mignon comes home in 11th, and Jack Cameron Drayton, after his early mistake at the old Fogarty S's, is coming home, or Fogarty Chicane, sorry, is coming home in 12th. Now, as you can see, we haven't got all the victory sequence or like that, so we will have a quick so just to run through after that race, the championship order is as follows. Just to go through that result again, it was Sandell with a full 20 points, Randall with 18 for second, Steve Brown 15 for third, Ridout takes 14 for fourth, Robinson in fifth, Clark in sixth, Maxman takes 11 points, so a 9-point swing, which he managed to get the fastest lap as well, which just reduces that by a point to 8. So 8 points gained by Sandell over Maxman in that race. Brule in 8th, Calirai in 9th, Peter Harris 10th, Mignon, Cameron Drayton, and then Dimelo bringing up rear in the pits. Now in the team's championship, that means BB Racing won that race with 27 points. Old Gits Racing, which is Randall and Harris, got 1 point short of BB Racing to finish in second with 26. Last and Furious with 23rd with 23 points. Frey Bentos Racing 21 points in fourth. 20 for Team Quadrant, but most importantly, SR down in 18th place. 6th place with 18 points towards the team's championship, which meant going into the final round in the Drivers' Championship, Ryan Sandell, the reigning champion, looking to take a fifth win of the season if he could win the final race, takes a 12-point lead into the final race over Nathan Maxman. That's a lot to try and gain back with the pace Sandell has. Steve Brown closed the gap to 7 points to Maxman, but remembering this will be a reverse grid, so Maxman will start further up the grid. There's a great battle for 4th place in the championship with Robinson on 87, Randell on 84, and Clark on 82. Brule sits on 70, and to be honest, there's a great battle for 7th in the championship as a look at the table. Brule on 70, Calirai on 67, Ridout on 63, and Cam Drayton on 61. And then there's another battle for 10th in the championship. 11th in the championship. Dimelo on 52, Mignon on 49, Harris on 42. So everybody with something to play for in the Drivers' Championship. In the Teams' Championship, BB Racing take the lead and lead it by 1 single point going into Monza. The slipstream fest of Monza, which can bring out a random result at times, is going to be the host for the final round, where there's 1 point between the two teams. Frey Bentos Racing aren't out of it yet, 10 points back from the leader, and Team Quadrant sits 16 back. That is probably a bit too much, 16, but you never know. Last and Furious only sit 21 back, so these teams are very close in terms of performance. So while this race now loads up, as you can see it doing so now, we will get ourselves ready for the race. If you've liked... Yes, thank you, Ryan. I've just remembered it's not the Fogarty S's, it was Dingle Dell Chicane. Yes, that's exactly right. And sadly, actually, it was the corner where Henry Surtees lost his life, which is why I remember it so vividly, because I was watching that race live. Such a disappointing, such a sad sort of situation that happened at that corner after they took away the chicane. Actually, they'd already turned it into that new sweeping corner, and I miss the chicane, to be honest. It was great with touring cars and British GTs going through there. But we now head to Autodromo Nazionale Monza. As you can see, the grid just forming up now. I will pause it so we can go through the grid before the race starts, so don't worry about that if you don't catch it. We will pause the racing there just so we can go through the grid. I'll just hide the names. So because of the last race and the result of the last race, we now have Sam Dimolo on pole position after parking up at Brands. Yes, Sam, you did miss it. To be honest, we didn't see you park it up. We just saw you in the pits at one point, so which I didn't know had happened. So, yeah, that's what put you on pole position for Monza. So let's see what happens there. Anyway, Sam Dimolo on pole position, Jack Cameron Drayton in the McLaren in second place. Third place for Eric Mignon in the Aston Martin. Fourth for Peter Harris in the Lexus. I think that's the Lexus there, yes it is. Fifth for Kiev Kalirai, always strong in these tyre wear races. Callum Brule in sixth in Mercedes, looking for a good result in a tyre wear race. Nathan Maxman starts seventh, really needs a good result from this race to even keep second in the championship, never mind first. But he needs Sandell to make a mistake in this race. Tim Clark sits 8th on the grid, Martin Robinson 9th, 10th after a strong showing in that first race at Brands Hatch by Mark Riddell. That was really the Mark Riddell we expected to see throughout the season. A couple of mistakes has just let him down slightly in terms of a championship, but first year, hopefully he'll be back next year when we have season 3 of Club 100 BUKC GT Sport Championship. It has already been mentioned by Sam Dimolo. 11th we have Steve Brown Super GT himself. 12th we have Trevor Randall, who took his season best result of second last time out, and Ryan Sandell, championship leader, sitting 13th. All he has to do is stay out of trouble. But we know what racing drivers are like. It's not a championship unless you try and win it by winning the race. But starting 13th, we've seen him win races from here before, don't get me wrong. But personally myself, I'd just be staying out of trouble and following Nathan home, because that will give him the championship. But as I say, we know what racing drivers are like, and I expect it won't be anything like that, because if it was, Ryan would not be a racing driver or a go-karter or whatever we care to call him. So we're sitting ready on the grid. It's a 30-minute race with tyre wear, so there will be pit stops during this race. You don't have to stop though, so it just depends on what your tyre wear is like. With it being Monza, low tyre wear, probably a chance of somebody doing a sneaky non-stop, but a very small chance. We'll just have to see. So sit back, relax, and here is the finale of the season 2 of the Club 100 BUKC GT Sport Championship. We have everybody on the grid waiting. The lights are on. We're on board with Ryan Sandell. There is your pole man, Sam Dimolo. We're on board with him. The lights are on. We're about to go out, and we are go here at Monza. A good start by the front row. A great start by Callum Brule, who's a bit further back. He's being followed through by Peter Harris, and they're side by side all into turn 1. But it's Dimolo who leads. Who will outbreak who? Oh, Brule going for the lead. What a move that is by Brule, into the lead from about 6th on the grid. Wow, where did that come from, Callum? Brilliant start there. Sam Dimolo in second place. Kirk Callawright, a good start by him, up into third. Peter Harris, a great start by him, up into fourth. Cameron Drayton in fifth. Robinson in sixth. Tim Clark in seventh. And there is our championship rivals. Eighth, Nathan Maximan. He's actually lost a position off the start, but he makes it past his teammate there, Cameron Drayton, who isn't making it easy for him. And Steve Brown, close behind, dives through on Cameron Drayton, as there goes Maximan past Peter Harris as he forces him out wide. But Steve Brown, just behind, has made a brilliant start to his race, fighting off Cameron Drayton at the moment. And there is Sandell in the middle of that pack. That's not where you want to be as a championship leader who just needs to finish the race. But Sandell has followed Steve Brown through, and they are sitting 6th, 7th and 8th now in this race on the opening lap. That's an epic lap by Brown and Sandell to get through all of that and not end up in the gravel trap. You can see Ridout hasn't made much progress there, and neither has Randall at the moment, as Randall goes up the inside of Jack Cameron Drayton for 9th place, and Ridout is the next one to make the move as he runs a little bit wide there, but he's still going to get the run. And it's Mignon and Peter Harris side by side at the back as we watch Jack Cameron Drayton go for a move on Trevor Randall. Will he make it through into the first chicane? No, he won't. So we head back to the front. It's Dimolo and Brule. Dimolo's gone back through. Dimolo leads this race at Monza. It's Brule in second place. I think he might have let him go there, but he is going to nibble back into chicane number 2. Doesn't make it through. Ryan Robinson next up, and there is Maximan. He's made his way past Tim Clark on into the first chicane, I presume, and is now looking to move forward. He has to move forward for his championship position. Sandell running slightly wide behind. Sandell just got to keep it clean. I emphasise that so much, but he now is under pressure from Trevor Randall. Randall looking to make his way past and be the top Dodge Viper in this race, but he also knows Sandell is very quick. He's got a penalty to get rid of at the moment, but he knows Sandell is quick and might want to follow him through the pack, as Tim Clark is now having to watch his mirrors because Steve Brown is now closing in on him and looking for a way through. But we head back to the front, and it's Dimolo who leads, but on board with Callum Brule, who is now looking for the lead of this race. And Brule goes to the inside. Sensible driving there by Dimolo, because there's no point fighting at this stage of the race, especially around Monza. The slipstream is all important. As we look behind, and Callawright continues to defend from Brule's teammates. This is a great race for Fast and Furious at this moment in time, running 1st and 4th in this race. But the drivers who started at the back are now actually Tim Clark's starting to challenge Nathan Maximan there for 5th place. Maximan really needs to get on with this and get past Martin Robertson as soon as he can, because this pack has closed up, and he's looked to the inside into there, and he's made it through. I was about to call it the Lesmos. I think it is the Lesmos actually. Into Lesmo 2. I will just double check that, because for some reason I don't seem to know my Monza names for corners at the moment. I don't know why. It's very strange of me. But Maximan is through and into 4th place. Now he really needs to pull away if he can and make the most of Steve Brown being bottled up behind Tim Clark, which isn't going to happen for long, as Brown goes to the inside into Parabolica. Clark hangs it round the outside, but I don't think that's going to be possible. That is Robinson out wide ahead. He's now lost out. He was already behind Maximum, but he's now giving the slipstream to these guys. And Sandell is trying to make his way through as well. We'll go on board with Sandell. He's looking to the outside of Brown now. Late on the brakes into turn 1. But no, it is position to Brown as they head out of the first variante and off towards the second chicane. But it is Callum Brule who still leads this race, defending from Sam Dimolo into the second chicane. Dimolo to the outside, won't make it through there, he'll get squeezed off. But these two need to start working together. There's no point fighting with that pack coming up behind. And Kirv Kalarai and Nathan Maxman are now closing in on Sam Dimolo and looking threatening at this stage. Certainly both have got the pace as they're closing up. And as we find with all these reverse grid races, the pack just extends out on the opening lap. Somebody might get a bit of a break, but then they all start to close back in. As we now look further behind, I think that is Steve Brown having to defend from... Wow, what a move outside, round the outside by Ryan Sandell on Steve Brown into the Ascari chicane. So that is Ryan Sandell up into 6th place from 13th on the grid in 4 laps, and pulling a move on Steve Brown around the outside of any corner is not easy. But that Dodge Viper works brilliantly in the hands of Ryan Sandell. He added a car last year, stuck with it this year, and there's just no stopping him when it comes to finals day. So it looks certainly like Sandell wants to take this title with a win, but there are still 5 cars ahead of him that want to stop him doing that, and Steve Brown is still close enough to be fighting back. Tim Clark close behind, and Trevor Randall there in 9th. But we look back at the leaders again, and Dimolo going for the lead again, taking the outside to be on the inside for the second chicane, and Dimolo leads again. But he's ran a bit deep, he holds the pack up, and that has brought Maxman into play, who's got past Kalirai, and he's now looking to the outside of Brule, and he is through. Brule is going to get forced out wide by Kalirai and has dropped to 4th place and just ahead of his teammate Robinson now. But that is the top 9 in your picture already. There they all are coming out of the second Lesmo down under the bridge. But it's Dimolo who's now leading, and he's going to get challenged by Maximin into the Ascari chicane, and he's through. Maximin leads. He's exactly where he needs to be, and now he needs to try and scamper away while everyone is tucked up behind Dimolo. But will he be able to do so? That is the question, because Dimolo is slipstreaming back. Will this change into... Dimolo goes for it, doesn't quite make it through, runs out wide, allows Kalirai up the inside. Now it's going to be a drag race between the 2 Aston Martins across the start-finish stripe for the start of lap 6. But this may just allow Callum Brule to get into this fight, because look, they're still side by side ahead, but they're closing in on Maximin, who doesn't seem to have quite... Oh, that's late by Brule. Oh, just about misses and has to reset, and that was almost the end of Maximin's race there. I've got a feeling he was certainly saying a few swear words when he looked in the mirror, and that's why he's lost a bit of time and now has Kalirai all over the back of him. As Brule says in the chat, complete disaster. Yes, that was. How on earth you didn't wipe somebody out into there, I do not know. Because see, it was Steve Brown. Was that Brown over curbs? Yes, it was. As Maxman leads from Kalirai. Sam Dimolo still holding on to 3rd there in the Aston Martin. Important points for Team Quadrant. 4th for Ryan Sandell, who's got past Tim Clark and Martin Robinson. As Trevor Randall now squeezes past Robinson. Robinson down into 8th. Bad couple of laps for Last and Furious. Well, bad lap, shall we say, because Brule went off at turn 1 and Robinson has now dropped to 8th out of the Lesmos. So we have a top 8 as things may actually start calming down a bit. We'll look a bit further back in a minute, but it's Maximin leading from Calirai. 3rd is Dimolo, 4th is Sandell, 5th is Clark, 6th is Steve Brown, 7th is Trevor Randall, 8th is Martin Robinson, 9th is Callum Brule, 10th is Eric Mignon, who we haven't mentioned yet in this race, but is running quite strongly into the top 10 at the moment, ahead of Jack Cameron Drayton. And Mark Ridout is in the pits, the first of the pit stops. He is in on lap 6 at 11 minutes. So is that going to be a 2-stopper for Mark? He comes out in last place, just behind Peter Harris. So we head back to the front and the battle is raging. Who will be the next pit, especially out of this lead group, as Maximin has to defend. Calirai still looking for that position. Calirai looking inspired here today at Monza. Dimolo also looking very strong in 3rd place. No disrespect to Sam, we have seen him fall back a couple of times and in these reverse grid races, but he's certainly holding on to a podium position right now, and a podium at Monza is special to anybody. But Maximin in the McLaren just stretching out a little bit of a gap there to Calirai. The slipstream will bring it back. Sandell just sits there nicely, and the top 4 have slightly left a little bit of a gap back to Steve Brown, who is there in the team quadrant car as somebody runs wide up ahead. That must have been Dimolo, because the gap has widened just a little bit. He's looking in his mirrors. Here is Sandell. Will Sandell look to the inside? No. 9's Parabolica as the leaders come round Parabolica for the 7th time. Will anybody dive for pits this time by? Doesn't look like it. We're going to look further down. There's no pit stops that I can see unless it's outside the top 10. Doesn't look like it. Oh, Jack Cameron Drayton's in. The other McLaren, Jack Cameron Drayton, trying to score strong points for the championship for SR Down. He heads out the pits, and will he beat Marky Boy out? Yes, he will. That's actually quite a gap back to Marky Boy, so you might have a mistake on his outlap. But Calirai leads. We've missed it somewhere, but Calirai leads, and our 2 championship rivals are now side by side heading down to the 2nd chicane. Sandell on the outside, Maximin on the inside, and he cuts across and Maximin stays ahead. There's a bit of bumping, but not too much. Where has Dimolo gone? There is Dimolo down into 9th place. Oh, Dimolo, what happened there? I think that is crucial for a race, so we're going to have a look back and see what happened to Dimolo. Here we go, down into the first corner. Sandell has a look, and Dimolo just misses his braking point completely, and then has to reset. But in turn, that puts Calirai, bumps Calirai slightly, who goes up the inside of Maximin and actually allows Calirai to take the lead. So maybe Dimolo has something against Maximin there, because he's actually helped Calirai take the lead, because Calirai was not looking for that overtake whatsoever. But that is a cracking move by Calirai, I think, to make it through. And as we said, Maximin defends into the 2nd chicane from Sandell. That moves Steve Brown up into 4th, Tim Clark into 5th, who's been challenged by Robinson into the first Lesmo. Robinson makes it through, goes to the inside. Is he going to make it through? All still side by side. Randall having a watching brief just behind. He'll take advantage of this as Clark runs wide. Clark runs out of space, almost takes Callum Brule out on the return to the circuit. Allows Sam Dimolo back up into 8th, and Randall now has a look at the outside of Robinson, who will brake latest into the Sky chicane, and there's a bit of contact there, but Randall pulls a great move around the outside of the Sky chicane, just like Maximin and Sandell did earlier. but Robinson looking back into Parabolica won't make it through there. So we head back to the front, and Calirai cutting it tight out of Parabolica for some reason, and he's into the pits. Our leader is in. First of the leaders to pit. Calirai, Trevor Randall and Robinson follow. It's about half distance, so they're looking at a one stop if they can get away with it here. We'll look further ahead as Sandell has to continue defending from Maximin. Calirai actually comes out in 5th place. It's also moved Eric Mignon up into 6th, and I think Dimolo must have pitted there as well. But back at the front, our 2 championship rivals are fighting it out. Into the second chicane, it's Maximin keeps having these half looks, and that's one thing which will really lose you momentum and time. Sandell gets sideways out of there, and will that leave the gap door open? He leaves a bit of space as Maximin has a look. Will Maximin make it? Oh, it's not quite the overlap. Sandell still leaving him space. This is respectful racing between the two, and Maximin is through. Maximin has made it through into that corner, out of Lismo 2 and down towards the Sky chicane, and this fighting is just letting Steve Brown come into this fight. Steve Brown, the one driver who we thought would be very quick this season. He has been, hasn't quite got the race win yet, but looking for his first of the season, looking for his first fastest lap of the season, to be honest. Currently not held by any of these top 3 actually. I'll have to have a look through the pack and see who holds it at the moment, but Maximin continues to take that tighter line, holding off Sandell. Is he heading for the pits this time round? Yes he is. Maximin is in, so is Sandell, so is Steve Brown. All 3 of them are pitting on this lap, and it allows Callum Brawl also pits. Will they get out in front of Calirai? No, they don't, and Calirai leads. That early pit stop for the undercut has worked for him, and Calirai is back into the lead and has a nice gap back to Nathan Maximin, who is still having to fight off the attentions of Sandell and Steve Brown. There is Eric Mignon. Where is he? Just there. Great drive so far by Mignon, who hasn't pitted. Or if he did pit, he pitted early on, and he's sitting there in a strong 5th place at the moment, fighting off the attentions of Trevor Randall. Slightly missed the apex on that. That will give Randall the run out of the corner, but Mignon defends. But in this battle for 2nd place could be exactly what Calirai needs. These 3 fighting it out for the championship, top 3 spaces in the championship. Calirai doesn't care about that. He just wants that race victory. So he will be trying to stretch it out as we speak early on while these fight over position, because there goes Sandell to the outside at the Sky chicane again. Will he make it? Maximin ghosts. The cars go through each other, and Maximin keeps the position. But this is a tight fight between these, and we'll go on board with Steve Brown. No, Ryan Sandell, as he looks, we'll look at from Steve Brown's position. Sandell goes to the outside, and Steve Brown, no, I was going to say don't look at the, oh, and Sandell's still trying to go around the outside. That's not going to work, and Steve Brown gets through. Steve Brown, I thought, was going to have a look into Parabolica, but held back, and it's worked perfectly for him. He now goes to the outside of Maximin, heading towards turn 1. Mignon now pits from 5th place, so that moves Trevor Randall up into 5th, but we're not taking our eyes off this battle for a moment, because this is the one for the championship. Sandell back to the inside of Brown, and Brown sideways out of turn 1, but holds the position, and this is allowing Randall and Martin Robinson to close back in. The 2 cars that have had to reset are 7th and 8th in Sam Dimolo and Callum Brule. Oh, Brown moves off slightly on Sandell there, but Sandell has the inside line and takes the position. A little bit of lag as they go over the curbs, but Sandell up into 3rd place. Plenty enough for this championship to go to Sandell right now. He doesn't need to get involved in these fights, but as I said at the start, a racing driver always wants to win the championship with a win, But right now he won't be, because Calirai is off into the distance in the Frey Bentos Aston Martin. Look back now at the battle for 7th place. There is Sam Dimlow and Callum Brewell all over the back of each other. Sam Dimlow with a penalty to get rid of before the end of the race. Brewell running very wide out of Ascari. That may let Tim Clark back into this battle. He's having a very quiet race for a tyre wear race. Tim Clark normally absolutely legendary on his tyres in season 1. It hasn't quite happened for him in season 2, but much stronger field. And Jack Cameron's ratings moved his way back into the top 10. Eric Mignon in 11th. Mark Ridout, I don't know what's happened to him. He just hasn't got through the pack in this race, and currently sits in 12th place, just ahead of Peter Harris. But we head back to the front, and Maximin has gapped Sandell. Maximin has gapped Sandell and is hunting down Kieran Calirai now. He was quicker by 3/10 of a second on the last lap. Sandell still fighting off the attentions of Steve Brown and losing ground to the top 2, and it's allowing Trevor Randall to close up behind. There is Calirai, slowly trying to keep this gap to the rest of the field. Calirai's best position in a Club 100 GT Sport race so far is a 3rd place. Earlier in the season, was it this season he had, or I'll just have a look. He definitely had a podium. I think it may have been last season. Let's just find the championship. Calirai, yes, it was last season. No, he had a podium last time out, actually. No, it wasn't last time out. It was last season, sorry. Near the end of last season he got a podium, but his form hasn't been at it this season for whatever reason, and he's now out in front, controlling this race, trying to take the win away from these championship rivals who are fighting hard, watching each other for this championship. But the rest of the field don't care about the championship. They just want a race victory, and Frey Bentos Racing want a race victory, and Kieran Calirai wants a race victory, and he's going on to lap 13 now with just under 8 minutes to go, and Maximin is closing him down, and Calirai will be feeling the pressure now as he goes round Curva Grande towards the second chicane, with Maximin closing in that beautifully looking green McLaren. I'm glad he didn't pick a lighter shade of green, because it might have blended in with the barrier behind there. But Maximin closing in, and I think Sandell has broke Steve Brown slightly, and that pack is being dragged along into this fight. There is Sandell, Brown, Randall, who is on form tonight, and Martin Robinson close behind, and this pack is slowly closing in on the leader as well. So not only will Calirai have to worry about one car, he will have to worry about 5 before long, as Sandell sets a purple middle sector there. As you saw it flash up, he's now looking to close out this championship with a victory, with his 5th win of the season. It would be Calirai's first ever win in a Club 100 GT Sport Championship. So we will see if Calirai can take his first win. Steve Brown could take his first win, who's all over Sandell now coming across the line. It would be Maximin's 4th win of the season, sorry, if Maximin could take it. It would be Sandell's 5th. The two have dominated races this year. We've had 7 races so far, and they have won every single one. Can Calirai stop that run from happening? We head back to him now, heading into the second chicane. The gap is closing. It is coming down. Another 3 tenths on that lap. But Sandell just did a 46.1, which was 8 tenths quicker than the leader. If he keeps that up, he will be in this battle for the lead with only 6.5 minutes to go. We look further back. There is Martin Robinson, who has dropped back off pack with Trevor Randall. I'm not sure what's happened there, but they've fallen back off this pack slightly. I think possibly looking at the gaps, Randall's made a mistake somewhere. But Randall is now looking again at making it past Robinson. Will he try into Ascari? No, he sits behind him. These two drivers both on pads. The only drivers on the grid tonight on controllers instead of wheels. So they're doing a great job, especially when you have the long straights in Monza. Whereas if you got a wheel, you make a small adjustment. Whereas on a pad, you have to make pretty much the same adjustment that you make through a corner. So these guys racing well. Robinson runs wide and Randall goes up the inside and takes 5th place out of Parabolica. But we head back to the front, and that is the gap for the lead. We're on board with Maximin as he looks at Calirai. He's looking for that position, looking for that win. He's closing it in. But here is, whoa, that is Sandell. How much have they closed the gap to Maximin there? And Sandell almost losing it as Maximin went to defend his line. Wow, I didn't realise they were that close. As Callum Brule moves up ahead of Tim Clark, it looks like further back. I think Dimelo has dropped back. We'll just have a quick look. Yes, Dimelo drops back into the clutches of Jack Cameron Drayton. He must have had a mistake at the first chicane again. But we look back and there is the gap to the leader. It is Calirai, Maximin, Sandell and Brown. It's between these 4 for the win at the moment. I think Randall and Robinson are too far back and will be fighting over 5th unless as Robinson runs wide into the gravel in the background. But these 4 are out in front and they have the slipstream off the leader now. Calirai will be sweating with this pressure. He has top 3 in the championship all over the back of him. That's no disrespect to Calirai. He has the experience and he has the pace to win this race. But the question is, does he have the pace now at this point of the race where he has the pressure of trying to take his first win in this championship? The slipstream is there and this is going to be it. Maximin is going to get a run and so is Sandell, and Steve Brown is going to get a free car. Calirai's over line to defend and he's staying to the inside, but Maximin looks like he's took it. Will Sandell go around the outside? He's looking for it. He goes round the out. Yes, Maximin leads and Sandell takes 2nd and Steve Brown takes 3rd. That was unfortunate for Calirai. Just got hung out to dry trying to play fair with 2.5 minutes to go, but he's still in this fight. And now Maximin has to defend from Sandell into the 2nd chicane. And they're bumping and barging each other into the braking area, but the top 4 are here and this is the winner is going to come from these 4 unless there's an accident. So Maximin into Lesmo 1, heading out of Lesmo 2 in a minute, and we're going to see out between these 4 who can claim the final win of the season. Maximin is going to have to defend down into Ascari. He does so, he goes into the middle of the track, lets Sandell have the outside, the grippy part to brake, but Sandell, what a move round the outside of his championship rival. That was risky. Maximin could have easily forced him off there, and that could have been the end for Sandell winning this race. He's got such a lead in the championship, he didn't need to try and pull that. Would he have pulled it if it had been closer? Maybe not, but Maximin looks back to the outside of Parabolica. That isn't going to work, and he runs out wide, and that lets Steve Brown through into 2nd place. Now this is close for 2nd in the championship now, because Steve Brown has took the lead of the race. He is side by side with Sandell. You can just see Sandell's rear front of his car going back past the front straight line speed of the Dodge Viper, just showing its hand there. Maximin on the brakes around the outside. Sandell sideways into the second corner. This is... Oh, you can see these three are all on the limit, and Cali Rice, still having a watch and brief in fourth, is looking to the inside of Maximin, and he's through. So Cali Rice up into the podium, and Maximin, as quick as that, goes from first to fourth. But it's Sandell who leads into the second chicane. We have half a minute of this race. This is the last lap. Maximin is now going back into second place. Cali Rice must have made a mistake into that second chicane, but Maximin is wide, and he's on the grass, and through goes Steve Brown. And will Cali Rice go through? Yes, he will. And Maximin just ran out of room on the end of the second Lesmo, and he'll have to watch out for Trevor Randall, who's now coming into this fight. But out in front, Sandell is leading, and comfortably into the Ascari chicane. No mistakes from here, and the Dodge Viper will make it Dodge Viper driver, will make it 2 wins out of 2 to round off a championship victory. He heads down to Parabolica. What a final lap this has been, but it's Sandell who heads into Parabolica in the lead from last on the grid, 13th. I said he had to be careful. He's took it with relative ease until the end of this race, when he knew the championship was sewed up, and Sandell becomes a 2-time Club 100 GT Sport champion as he wins the final race. Steve Brown takes second in the race. Cali Rice with a season's best third and a podium. Trevor Randall took fourth close to the end. I've got to pop back and see that, because where did he beat Maximin to the line? He must have done him into Ascari. Yes, here we go, into Ascari. Randall did Maximin on that part of the circuit, and will follow Trevor Randall to the line, because we know what happened with the top 3. What a race we've had here at Monza. But it looks like 5th place finish for Maximin. I'll just wait till we cross the line, because who knows after this race. So Randall comes home in 4th. Maybe a surprised 4th after that. 5th goes Maximin, 6th goes Robinson, 7th for Tim Clark, who's had a quiet race there, 8th Callum Brewell, who led early on before his mistake at the first corner. Jack Cameron comes home in 9th, 10th for the early leader Sam Dimolo, 11th for Eric Mignon, 12th for Peter Harris, and there is Mark Ridout in the gravel. I think he possibly has given up there, but that was a brilliant race. But there is your champion, your Club 100 GT Sport champion, Ryan Sandell, who claims the victory just like he did last year, with 2 wins on the final week. And who's to put it past him making it 3? I wouldn't put my money past it, depending on what cars we use in Series 3. But what a result that has been. Just what a race it was. I can't quite believe what I was seeing. I thought Cali Rice had it, and then Maximin had it, then Steve Brown had it, then you thought Trevor Randall might come into the fight, Callum Brewell and Sam Dim. I think we had most leaders we've ever had in a GT Sport race with Club 100. In that race, we must have had 7 leaders throughout that race, possibly, but we will stick with our champion here, Ryan Sandell, with the number 1 plate. He gets to keep that for next year. I will now bring up the maths and the championship order. So that was victory for Ryan Sandell there, and we'll just find a nice picture. I've got a few pictures of him, of his car somewhere. There we go. There is our champion. We'll pop that one up while we discuss the championship positions. There is our champion, Ryan Sandell, on 149 points, 5 wins throughout the season. 1 second place and 2 third places, never off a podium, and I think a deserving champion from this season. Second went to Nathan Maximan. He finished on 130 points, 19 points back, after taking 3 wins throughout the season, but just fell off the podium twice, which derailed his championship challenge. And he finished 1 point ahead of Steve Brown Super GT, who in his first year of the series, yes, a lot of GT Sport experience and Gran Turismo experience, but 1 point behind Nathan Maximan is a great show for Steve Brown with his consistency, considering he didn't win a race this year. But a little bit of news for Steve Brown: he did manage to get the fastest lap in that final race, so a little extra point there for him. 4th place in the championship, and 1 point covered these 2 drivers for 4th place. Martin Robinson pips Trevor Randall by a point. Both of them 50 and 51 points off the lead overall. Not probably the season Randall was looking for. I don't know why I keep saying Randall. Randall was looking for, but that is an epic performance by Robinson to finish 4th in the championship. He got there early on, and consistency has seen him through, and he just stays ahead of Trevor Randall. Both drivers on control as well, so 4th and 5th in the championship, great result from both. 6th come Tim Clark. After missing the opening rounds, he'll rue that connection issue he had in the opening rounds. To fight back and get 6th was a great result for him. Kalle Rai found the pace at the end of the season and finished in 7th place. 7th place with season's best at the end with a podium. That was just my phone falling if you just heard that. Callum Brill takes 8th, just 2 points back from Kalle Rai, and will rue that mistake at Monza in the final race. He could have been on the podium there, he had the pace. 9th goes to Jack Cameron Drayton. 10th to the debutant Mark Ridout. Mark with the pace to be easily top 6, but luck hasn't been with him this season, and he'll be looking for a much better result next season if he returns. Sam Dimolo comes home in 11th for the season. Eric Mignon in 12th. Peter Harris in 13th. Newcomer Alex Wilmot in 14th, and Jay Elliott in 15th after only doing the opening round. And in the teams championship, 6 points covered the top 2, 11 points covered the top 3, and 16 points covered the top 4. But it was the blue cars of BB Racing who took the championship with 205 points ahead of SR Down, who had a poor final round by their standards, finishing on 199 points, and they'll be disappointed after leading going into tonight. They have lost the championship by only 6 points. What could have been for them? Frey Bentos Racing finishing 3rd on 194 points. Team Quadrant in 4th with 189 points. Last and Furious come home in 5th with 179 points. So again, what could have been for them? Olgitz Racing come out in 6th with 146, while South Coasters are in 7th with 109. But obviously they've had a bit of a mix, not a consistent lineup for the whole year, so they are lagging at the back. But they'll be returning hopefully as drivers, and we can look forward to another season of GT Sport Racing. But there in front of you is our champion, Ryan Sandell, and the Dodge Viper he took that championship in at Monza in that final round. What some great racing there all season we've had, and it hasn't finished there yet. Next week on Tuesday, on a live stream that I will be running again, we will have the Club 100 O plate. Now if you haven't seen it, head back to the Club 100 O plate that I have from season 1 on this channel and watch some of that, some of the epic slipstreaming we had with the go-karts on that. Next week will be the go-karts again, but on a track that the drivers will still not know. I know, but the drivers don't know what track it will be, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on with this circuit. It won't be the same as last time, but I can guarantee some epic racing again from the go-karts, from the Club 100 karts, and we will be running that event and possibly a little secret fun race which I will also stream on the end of the O plate if we have time for all that. But there is our champion, Ryan Sandell, 2 times champion. Will anybody be able to knock him off his perch? I think it'll be a strong bet, strong person to bet against him for next season. But will he be able to get the O plate to round off his season? He'll have to wrestle it from the hands of Nathan Maxman, who won it last time out. So hopefully I will see you next week when we will be live streaming the whole O plate on Tuesday night at about 8:45. Hopefully see you then.